Okay, so it's time to start out with more functional code. So let's talk about functions and loops. And these are really basic facts that we need to be able to use. So what is a function? Well, think of it as like a chunk of commands that you want to be able to do over and over again. So for instance, you can think about kind of a dance routine or workout routine that you do quite often. So it's a certain complex task, something that we do often and we want to be able to do again and again. Could compare it with a cookbook. So for instance, you know bechamel sauce. You might find that quite often in recipes, but normally it is declared once in a book, but it's called in many other recipes throughout the book. And this is basically the idea of a function. There is something that you need to be able to do over and over again, but you only tell how to do it once when you declare the function. So let's look at kind of a more practical example. So we're going to build a pattern. So find 3 symbols and write them in a row. And you should do this 10 times. And that would look something like this. So you have 3 symbols and you write them in the line 10 times. And that is not really too fun, is it? So instead, let's create a function. And we call it doPattern. And here you have that. The way I did write this name is called camel case, and that is because it's kind of like a camel, you know. It keeps its heads down and then you have the lumps on its back. So the basic idea is when you have a variable or a function or something that you want to give a name, you're not really allowed to start out with a capital letter. So you start with a normal letter. But when you have a new word, like in doPattern, you put capital letter inside. So that's kind of an easy way to be able to read the names in a good way. And it's really important that you give things decent names inside your code, otherwise you will forget how it was meant to be working. Okay, so I'll create a function doPattern that writes the symbols in a row. And you have kind of like this. So you have to call the function 10 times. So you write doPattern 10 times instead of writing 30 symbols. So that's an improvement. This is great, but even better would be if we had a loop that runs the function 10 times. And that would be simple because then we have it like this. It just works. You get all of it at once. So how would this look in code? Well, first the function. It would look like this. Here you have the reserved word func, that is for functions, and then you have the name, and you have 2 parentheses. You have to have that. We'll talk about this later. And then you have the start of the code block, that is the function, and then you have print apple, beta, and dollar. This will actually not print the symbols in a row. I will show you later how to do that. This will, at least in the playground, this will be written underneath each other. So, okay, let's say this works this way. And we want to repeat this 10 times. Then we'll have to make a loop. And a loop is kind of easy to make too. So it looks like this. For I in the interval 1, 2, 10, doPattern. And this basically means this code will run 10 times. So that was basically the thing we wanted to do. So we talk about declaring the function here when we actually define it, and then we call the function down here. So that's it basically. So your next exercise will be to recreate what we just did. So create 3 variables or constants with 1 symbol or word in each. Create a function that prints these in a row. To do that, you could actually just add the 3 variables together and then print it inside the print function. That would work. And then create a loop that uses the function to print the symbols 10 times. So try that. Okay, here we have the solution. I start out with declaring the variables x, y, z, and I give them the symbols I had before. And then I create the basic function, func do pattern, remember the parentheses, and then the start of the block, and then the print thing. And like I said before, I just add the strings together, which is okay to do. And then I want this to loop 10 times. So I do for I in the interval 1, 2, 10, do pattern. And right now, talking about print, the print thing will print down here in the so-called console. You should also observe what has actually happened. It is actually calling the function 10 times, and each time it does this. And if you just put your mouse on top of this, you get 2 kind of icons over here. The first one, if you just push that one, you get a quick look of what's happening. And it tells you it will actually produce this once 10 times. If you want to have like a view below to see what's actually happening, you could add a view here, show results. That is basically the same thing. These 2 icons, you could try them during the exercises. These are kind of handy, actually.